Today you are going to start your famous scientist project. This is a major test grade, your first major test grade of the year. It is going to be a poster. I will provide you with a poster, so you don't have to worry about that. And I just want to say this must be a poster, not an electronic presentation like PowerPoint or Google Slides. There'll be times later in the year that we can do projects like that, but this one needs to be a poster. So let's first talk about what is needed on your poster so you can get a 100. So the first thing is your first and last name and period number on the back of your poster. Everybody in your group needs to have their first, last name, period number. That is 10 points. The poster is neat and easily read, 10 points. If it looks like you took 5 minutes on it, that's not going to be good for your grade. You need to try your best, be nice and neat and purposeful when drawing and writing on your poster. Including the scientist's accomplishment, what the main thing that they are known for in the science community, including that, you get 15 points. Then you'll need to talk about the scientific method used. That will be a total of 45 points, and the three things included should be: what was the question or problem they were trying to solve? What would be their hypothesis? And were they valid or invalid? Meaning, were they correct or incorrect? And remember, it's okay if their hypothesis was incorrect, or because that's how science works. You try things out, see if you find a solution. Sometimes you don't, and then you do something else, right? So you'll have to tell me if it was valid or invalid. And then you're going to give me 4 other interesting facts about the scientists. They're 5 points each. That will give you 20 points. And so that is how you get your total of 100 points. So you will get an info page on the scientist you're assigned, and it will give you a quick little overview about their famous contribution to science. And it may not have everything you need on it, so you will be doing some research online. But let's do a sample one together, okay? So I'm going to pretend like I was a student, and this is my information piece, paper that I got. I'm going to read through it, and then I'm going to show you an example of the poster I would make based on the information I received from my teacher. So follow along as I read. Johannes Gutenberg. Johannes Gutenberg introduced the concept of movable type in the printing press to Europe. While this may not sound like a big deal at first, the printing press is often considered as the most important invention in modern times. Think about how important information is today. Without books and computers, you wouldn't be able to learn, to pass on information, or to share scientific discoveries. Prior to Gutenberg introducing the printing press, making a book was a laborious process in Europe. It wasn't that hard to write a letter to one person by hand, but to create thousands of books for many people to read was nearly impossible. Without the printing press, we wouldn't have had the scientific revolution or the Renaissance. Our world would be very different. Gutenberg took some existing technologies and some of his own inventions to come up with the printing press in the year of 1450. One key idea he came up with was movable type. Rather than using wooden blocks to press ink into paper, Gutenberg used movable metal pieces to quickly create pages. Gutenberg introduced innovations all the way through the printing process, enabling pages to be printed much more rapidly. His presses could print thousands of pages per day versus only 40 to 50 pages with the old method. This was a dramatic improvement and allowed books to be acquired by the middle class for the first time in history of Europe. Knowledge and education spread throughout the continent like never before. The invention of the printing press spread rapidly throughout Europe, and soon thousands of books were being printed on printing presses. So that is the information I was given from my teacher, okay? So let's talk about how I get this into a poster. So here's my example of the poster that I made from the information given. And I also had to do a little research, right? So based on, here's an example of my poster. based on the information given to me by my teacher, I could easily find the accomplishment, which was he introduced the concept of movable type and the printing press to Europe. The scientific method used. Now, in the information given to me by my teacher, it doesn't say his question or problem was, his hypothesis was, but you can kind of gather what it would have been if he had to sit down and write out a scientific method based on his invention, right? So the question or problem was, how can someone print pages more quickly? His hypothesis would have been, and remember, a hypothesis have an if and a then statement. So my hypothesis, or his hypothesis, would have been, if we use removable type, then we can print pages more quickly. And then, was it valid or invalid? His idea was valid. He was able to print thousands of pages a day compared to only 40 to 50. Now, your scientist that you are assigned may not have found the answer to a particular problem, and that is okay. You can say that they were invalid, but maybe it's a current scientist, so it's invalid, but they are still working on the solution or something like that. That is okay. Just because it's invalid doesn't mean you lose points, right? You're just reporting on this scientist. Then, for interesting facts, I went to Google and I Googled Johannes Gutenberg, and I had to read through a little bit, and I found 4 interesting facts based on him. And I want you to remember, Wikipedia sites are not always reliable, and that's something you need to get used to when doing projects for school, because Wikipedia is kind of like an open source web page that anybody can log on and edit. So the information given may not be 100% correct, because anybody can go on there and type stuff in. So go to another site, don't go to Wikipedia, and unfortunately Wikipedia is usually the first one that pops up when you Google, so maybe just go down to the second or third link. So I had to, read a little bit, do a little research. If you find a neat video on YouTube about your scientist and it's short enough, like 5-6 minutes, and you want to watch it, that is okay. That is still school appropriate. So the 4 interesting facts I found on Johannes Gutenberg was that he was born in Mainz, Germany around the year 1398. The second one, it was thought that the first printed item from the press was a German poem. Third, Gutenberg's real fame came from producing the Gutenberg Bible. It was the first time a Bible was mass-produced and available for anyone outside the church. And 4, there are around 21 complete Gutenberg Bibles existing still today. One of these Bibles is likely worth around $30 million. Ooh. And then I included in my poster, I want to note that, his name is up top, nice and neat. I had to Google 2 pictures. One is of Gutenberg himself, and one is of the printing press that he invented. Now, we can't print pictures here at school, but I encourage you to assign someone in your group who feels like they are who you feel like is reliable, that has ink at home and can print out some pictures for your famous scientist. If you cannot print out pictures, that is okay. You can draw a picture of your scientist or draw a picture of his invention or his contribution to science. That is okay. You don't have to have printed pictures. But hopefully you can see from the information page that was given to me by my teacher that I was able to come up with everything I needed for my project, and I only had to Google a little bit. Some things to remember. Okay, you will be given a laptop for your group to use. You need to remember your technology rules. You cannot go to any social media accounts. You cannot take pictures or videos at school. If you're allowed to use your phone or your iPad, even if it's your own device, you cannot take pictures or videos at school. You cannot listen to music on YouTube or any other site while you work. So don't have like another tab open and listening to music while you're researching. That may be okay at home, but not at school. And then just in general, school appropriate activity only. And you know what that means. You know what is okay to do at school and what's not okay. Now, like I said earlier, if you find a video on your scientist that's short enough that you want to watch it off YouTube, that is totally okay. Okay, that is school appropriate. Champs, once you get in your group and you have work time, it's important that we follow our champs so we can stay out of each other's workspace, we can stay focused on what we're doing. So champs while working in a group. Your conversation level is soft voices. Inside soft voices. There should not be yelling or talking to other groups. You need to focus on your project. If you have a question or comment, you guys brainstorm and problem solve and try to figure it out for yourself. But if you still need help, definitely ask me. Raise your hand and I will call on you, or I can come to you guys and I can help you out. The activity is to research your famous scientists and make a poster. The movement is to remain seated at your work area, but if you have to get up and get a marker or sharpen your pencil, that is okay, but you're not walking by groups and disrupting their work, okay? You're not talking to friends, you're not messing with people. And all must do their own project, and everybody needs to participate, okay? So everybody needs to contribute. Everybody needs to have a job. There shouldn't be anybody just sitting not helping. And we also remember what we talked about, working in groups, what we like and don't like. We want to include everybody in our group. It is okay to disagree respectfully and to talk it out, but we need to be kind, okay, and include everybody. If you have any other questions, you can ask your substitute teacher, or you can write them down, or she or he can write them down, and we can get those answers for you. So have fun.